I'm going to spend a few minutes.
It's why little girls are dying today.
What's your name?
It's why little girls
Muhammad.
are dying today.
So Muhammad,
Because they're
tell
following
me
this
more
example.
about why it's important for you to be down here at Speaker's Corner.
As we see, there's so many misconceptions that people have of the religion of Islam. They try and deplete the nuances from the religion of Islam by attacking, not listening, not engaging. But then when we put the arguments to them, we realize that they don't really have much to offer. So this is a place where we make our arguments. We believe we have the strong ones. And even the most, what we would consider the most antagonistic interrogations of the religion of Islam, we're able to answer them. And now he's heckling. He's heckling. He has resorted to heckling. Yeah. Not you, not you. Him. He's heckling. We're done with it. If you don't want popularity, why do you keep coming into my cameras, brother? We're done with you. We're finished. We don't need you anymore.
But Islam will turn on you.
Okay, great.
All your followers.
Yeah.
So if you look into the camera, so moving on.
Your followers
How
will turn
long
on
have
you.
you been coming down here?
On and off for about 6 to 7 years.
years.
6 to 7 years, I think. 6 years.
So during that time,
I'm here.
I'm led to believe you have a channel.
Correct, yes.
And how many followers? Do you
I don't know, he knows more about
No. It's not about followers. I'm just getting to a point, yeah.
He knows more about my popularity than I do, you know?
No. So over the years, how many followers have you managed to
I know that
accumulate?
your ego is like.
Let's
that
pretend
ego
I have a
inside
big
you.
ego. It doesn't mean Christianity is true.
No. But
Even if I was the worst man in the world, even if I was the worst man in the world with the biggest ego and the hugest, the most ferocious appetite for popularity, it wouldn't make Islam false and it wouldn't make Christianity true.
Coming back to my point,
Nothing you can
in
do
regards
can
to your
affect the truth.
followers,
The truth
how many
is the truth.
followers over the last 6 years have you managed to accumulate?
Is that because you want to know for your own channel?
No. The reason I'm answering the question, sir,
He's going to get jealous,
is-
this man.
The reason
This man needs to know that jealousy is a dangerous game, especially if you play it with me.
Surely, if people follow you, they must believe in
smiling now,
what you are saying.
Me?
Yeah, so they must believe.
Not
in your
necessarily.
argument.
He's following me. He's an avid fan. He doesn't believe a single word I say.
So, but tell me, in regards to Speaker's Corner, what is it about this place that attracts so many different people speaking about religion? What is it specifically here? Is it because you can engage?
I'll be honest with
others?
you, my friend. What's your name?
Sorry, my name is Wendell Daniel from Street Mike.
Okay, that's
Sorry, my name is Wendell Daniel, and what I
From
like
Street
to do,
Mate,
I like,
yeah?
Street Mike, and what I
Oh,
like
Mike,
to do,
yeah.
I like to engage with people.
No, I
and ask them
understand.
questions.
Look, the thing is, we as Muslims, when it comes to mainstream media, I had a conversation with the BBC right here over there. I was having a conversation. When we get into mainstream media, it's always a narrative that's not ours. It's always, we are fitted within the greater hegemonic narratives of the powers that be. In this place, they have not been able to manipulate our speech. What we're saying is unfiltered. When we overpower our enemies, not through ourselves, but because we have stronger argumentation, that is allowed to be broadcast. And that's been happening now to a point of great frequency with different people here. And the reason why Sunni Muslims in particular have been able to get the kind of following in this place as it has, and they have been able to do what they've been doing, is simply because it's a bit like survival of the fittest. Okay, the best ideas they raise to the top. I've not seen a single person in 6 years of coming to Speaker's Corner convert to Christianity in this place. Not one person.
And why do you think that is?
Because it's a false faith.
Hey, yeah, right.
No, honestly,
yeah, right.
people are disillusioned
That's why you keep lying.
with the idea of the Trinity, idea that God is man, that the Bible is from God, and
The
they're seeing
amount of
all
Muslims
kinds of
who email us saying
fallacy.
that we're out.
Fallacy after-
We're out of this cult.
See, look,
out.
see, it's interesting that he references the emails that he gets of Muslims leaving, not Christian people becoming Christian.
But I'm not interested in him, I'm interested in you.
Yes.
What advice would you give for those who are considering the possibility of coming down to Speaker's Corner to engage just like yourself? What advice would you give to those?
I'd give the advice that, look, you have to have your arguments ready,
Yeah.
especially if they're from our side. We have a verse in the Quran where Abraham, it says, وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتَنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ, that these are our arguments that we gave to Abraham against his people. So we believe that, having arguments, having the sharpened sword arguments, coming to Speaker's Corner is a prerequisite. And at the end of the day, if one doesn't, because look, this man came to me, I didn't come to him. He came to me with a series of hunches and anecdotes. I'm using it as talking about this happening in the Muslim world and that's whatever. And then when he's confronted, we've heard it before. And then when he's confronted with a range of sociological arguments, theological arguments, scriptural arguments, and philosophical arguments, he's left to conclude, for example, that Jesus Christ can command to kill a child. That's okay. But the Prophet marrying Aisha at a certain age after he waited for her to be ready, that's not okay.
You're conflating the Israelites being at war in the Old Testament.
I hear you, but final question. What can be done to encourage more women to come here to debate?
I think people like this have to leave the park, because people like me and you, the handsome ones, they can come. But I'm only kidding. But I think the reason why women are not attracted to this place is because of the vulgarity associated with it. The vulgarity.
Too many men.
Yeah, inhospitable environment. You have people. Too much violence.
Stabbing in the heads.
Oh yes, and people, and not only that, people provoking other people as well.
Okay, to violence, yes.
Yeah, provocations
From
to
the
violence.
religion of peace.
But thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Very welcome.
But earlier on,
yes,
you said you're now going to sum up with your team. Why is that bit, the summary, important?
A summary is always important because if you can't say something in a few words, you can't say it at all. Albert Einstein himself, he defined genius as being able to take a complex idea and summarize it in very important points. So the summaries that we leave for the people at the end of our discussions, actually, and in fact in psychology there's something called recency effect, primacy effect and recency effect. A recency effect is the impression someone is left with at the end of a discussion. So people tend to remember the beginning and the end of something. As we have seen today, the beginning of my argumentation and the end of this man's career.
Hold on a second. I don't want popularity. And so, talking about the end of career, let's talk about the holes in the narrative. Let's talk about that from last year.
No problem. Let's talk about the holes in the narrative.
Yeah.
The biggest hole of the narrative we've seen today is when a man says that having intercourse with a person of a certain age, which is disputed, might be morally unacceptable, but then says that killing a child can be acceptable if Jesus commands to it. I think that's a big hole in the narrative of infallibility, of biblical inerrancy, yes. So Jesus can kill who he likes. God can kill.
Greatest example.
God can rape.
God can rape. God doesn't do that.
He can command to it as well.
God doesn't do that.
Anyway.
And he never mentioned that in the scriptures. He never mentioned that. We've covered
His
that.
God, he did this for even the animal. Kills the cattle, kills the animal. That's the baby against rock.
That's God.
That his God.
In the Old Testament.
And blessed is the one who does it.
That's right. So and this is one of the reasons. This is why people leave Christianity. They look at the Amalekites. Don't leave in it anything that breathes. There's no verse in the Quran equivalent to that. There's no verse in the Quran. There is no verse in the Quran equivalent to kill the men, the women, the livestock, and even the donkeys.
Burn everything. Burn everything. Kill everything. Burn everything.
Kill the donkey.
And he dared to talk.
You care more about donkeys than little girls.
And his church.
You care more about donkeys.
Imagine how you would have to kill the donkey. Imagine it, please, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine.
They abuse everyone.
Imagine, what's your name, brother?
Yahya.
Imagine the situation where someone's going around with a knife, the donkey's minding his own business, and he gets stabbed.
You care more about the donkeys than the little girls. The little girls in the Islamic world. You care more about them.
The worst. His salvation is dependent about the killing of his own son. The father, he forsake his own son.
That's right.
And without blood, blood, no salvation. See how Dracula, bloody God he has.
For your sin.
See how bloody God he has.
As opposed to kissing a black stone.
Anyways.
As if that's going to give you your sin.